So this will be the basis for my succulent planter. So should I call this my wire rack succulent planter? Hello there, my name is Liz, a self-confessed succulent addict. Welcome to my channel, Growing Succulents. It's still overcast, but you notice something? Yes, not a breath of wind. So it's time to work in the garden. So what I have here are castings of my potting mix that I sieved, and these are the big pieces, and this one is going to go in the garden. And also down here I've got some, this is cast off as well from the plants that I bought. So anything that's very rocky and sandy I don't use, I remove that and put it here because I use them for my cactus. Now this one here is the same thing as that other one, but these are cast-offs from the ones I bought as well. But we had rain and now it's filled up with water, so that's got to go in the garden. So a lot of plants here. That one is Lilacina. I meant to put that in the garden as well, along with the soil that's in it. So I already treated a lot of my soil here. So this one's here. I'm just going to pull back here. This is over how many years? 4 years of plants that sort of died on me, mostly in winter. And I've got a couple of pots there that of course died just for no reason at all. But that one here, you can see that's been hit by the frost. My poor Ionium. So there's still one Ionium left there, but that one I'm gonna have to clean that up and put you away here. And also these pots here, these are all propagated plants, even those ones there, the ones in the pot, in the boxes as well, they're all propagated plants. And down here, look, Haworthias, a lot of Haworthias, and whatever leaves or bitter plant that I see, I just throw it under the box and they're growing. So these ones and these ones, I gotta take them out. Now this one, I have to put this somewhere sunny, although I'm gonna have to give up on it, but I'll still give it until this year. I'm gonna put it out in the garden, pot and all, but I'm not gonna remove it from the pot because that is sensitive to the frost. So I've now brought out my cassowaries, my cast-offs, so I'm just going to call them cassowaries, into my front garden here. So I'd like to show you sort of, not a step-by-step, but basically the concept of my garden, or what I'm going to do with all these bits and pieces and all the succulents that I've been growing for the past few years. And so far, okay, before I get to this side, I just want to show you the other side. This area of my garden, this is in my front doorstep, so this is like my entry to my house. So I have this one on the right hand side, and I'm working of course on, behind me is the left hand side. This is sort of still experimental. When I put this in 2019, April 2019 is when I put this in. April, May is autumn, and June is winter. So for those of you who grow succulents in the tropics, it will also be beneficial for you because you get to find out what succulents will survive the heat of the sun, because in summer we can get a temperature sometimes of 42 degrees Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but doesn't matter. But anyway, so I put in some plants which I sort of known to survive my previous cold winters, and this is the reason why I put them here, and so far it has been successful. And this one's here, which I know is sort of semi frost hardy, I set it up so this way, that way it's got a certain amount of protection. And the reason why I didn't do my other garden or do it all at once, because one, I'm still growing my plants, and for another, I don't know how these plants or these succulents are going to behave once I put them in the ground. So the past 2 years have been wonderful. I have learned a lot from this garden. I can tell exactly which plant will survive our weather or our temperature, and also how to structure my other side of the garden. So this one here, I'm still going to change this all up. And a lot of the plants here that I put in, I like fruit trees. So this is a fruit tree. This is a loquat up here that's in the pot there. But also I've got some plants that are potted up. So a lot of the pots as well, I've noticed, the soil will go down, and that's one of the issues I have of having succulents or planting plants in general in pots, because every year just about you have to top it up to increase the level of the soil. From this concept, an idea has formed in my mind, which is what I'm going to apply on the opposite side of my front entry here. So a lot of the little knickknacks, I like recycling things. So a lot of my friends would give me a lot of bits and pieces, well, family and friends, and they don't even ask me if I could have, well, mainly they ask me, could you use this? And I always say yes, because I try to recycle stuff. I don't like wasting things, and as much as possible, I like to make use of everything as much as possible. Okay, and cases where it's not possible, of course, there's nothing I can do about it. So this one here now, I can see that the pots, so all I can see with this pot, this is actually a beautiful pot. So this beautiful pot now needs to be shown and not covered up by the plants. And so as with the shoe, I've got a shoe here, and it's gone shoe, that's a shoe. So it's a boots, and it's only showing the tip of it. So I have to set that so it can be displayed or it can be shown, or else it defeats the purpose of having a succulent in a shoe. Also, a few of these lampshades here, I find now that the soil mix that I put in them has had a big effect on the succulents that are planted. So in here you can see that the plants are really stressed. So they only have a small amount of soil in here, and I put in my master succulent soil mix in here, top up with a lot of granite as well, my decomposed granite. So now I'm going to change this up. I'm going to put my intermediate soil mix, which is a healthier soil mix for containers like this, which has very limited amount of dirt. My cabbage or pumpkin pot here has got a lot of overgrown plants. And now what I've learned as well is that, see, the one in the center there's a Mexican giant, but that Mexican giant, even though it's a big plant, relatively big plant, once placed in the middle or in the center of all other big plants as well, they just get overcrowded. So I need to lift that up and maybe put it in a pot. So I have to pull out all these plants that's in here and now transplant this on the opposite side of my garden. So it's a little bit of a mishmash, some would say, but to me this is all a learning curve. I have to first experience or find out how these plants will behave when grown in certain soil, certain conditions. And also, I have a lot of sensitive, well, maybe in here, sort of semi-sensitive plants to the frost. So I have my Haworthia sort of semi-protected with this pot here. And you can see that they do suffer from the frost. They get hit by the frost, and that's why this one now, I also put this here. So this got a lot of protection really, but still, they still get hit by the frost and it's still alive. That's my main concern. But this one now, I can actually pull this out and plant this inside it and let it just crawl, let it just do its thing. And in here, I've got Contempo, my beautiful Contempo. I think it's over there. That's a Contempo, and then this one is probably, I forgot what you are now, maybe a Myrtella or something like that. But anyway, these plants as well are in the pot with the Black Prince, or maybe Ichok. Well, Black Prince is Ichok anyway, a cultivar. So you can see that they do suffer from the frost, so they need protection. So certain plants, they can survive our weather, but I have to make protection for them. So that's how I even look at this one, the Paraguayensis, sort of crawling out and picking out of this bark, of this tree bark. Look. So anyway, but a lot of the plants here have survived. This cotyledon might be frost hardy, but they still look ugly because up to a certain frost, say -7 this year's experience, and it's still suffering. But if I have some better protection for them, then they probably would look much better than they are at the moment and would not suffer so much. And I just noticed this beautiful iris now is flowering. So a lot of the plants as well, my former garden, my cottage garden or native mishmash garden, whatever I see what I feel like I planted. So this one, I don't have the heart to pull it out. So I left the bulbs there. And then when it flowers, it gives it a different look. But sassafras, oh my goodness, the sassafras here is flowering as well. This one is bad news. Although this is edible, the sassafras, I want it out. The plant actually, the roots taste like oyster. Now anyway, if you like oyster, then you can use that. And this, look at that. My Beni Musame is coloring up here. Look how gorgeous that is. So even though it's in the shade here, being shaded by this iris, it is still coloring up. So, oh, but I need to move that as well somewhere else and put a plant here that can take being covered, or at least visually it doesn't look sort of ugly. I want it to show that one, but now it's being covered, of course. So after all of that, so I've got my little cast-offs, succulent and cactus mix, but that's full of water, so I need to tip this out to drain it. Also, you can see that's actually a mix of the bark as well in there, and this one is also a mix of my cast off. Ooh, that stinks. Anyway, so I need to leave them there, pour them out, and ooh, stinky, look, it's black. That's, oh gosh, that stinks. Anyway, I will need to hose this down. It really smells really bad. Anyway, it's like mud. You know what you call those mud smell? So over here, I've got a dragon statue that's now lifted off from the ground. So I had this statue from the other side. It's been, basically that's been everywhere. So anyway, that one now is sitting on a piece of log. And over here, I broke one of the prongs of my, what do you call that little fork? It is a fork. Yep, my garden fork. One of them broke. Actually, it doesn't mean broke the whole thing. Actually, you see the rust. So I thought, instead of discarding it and throwing it away, I stick it in there to support the stick, a branch, a dead branch. That way I can hang something off in there. And also you can see those wire racks now. I don't know what these wire racks are for, but anyway, I got them from the Green Shed here in Canberra. We have a place called Recycling Things, and you can pay, you can buy them for no money. So I think I paid $5 for 8 of them. I don't know what they're for, but anyway, I'm gonna use this one as a planter. See, because look, hang on, I've got a couple of star picket there, which I'm gonna use to sort of anchor them off onto the ground, and that way be more stable and doesn't fall down on me. That's gonna be succulent oozing out of it. So I still don't know how exactly it's gonna look, but in my head it looks good. I don't know if it's gonna translate to reality when I finally do it. Also, this flax, this New Zealand flax here, still needs to be cleaned up. This will act also as a protection for a lot of the frost sensitive succulents. So any succulents that can handle sort of -4, but I don't want to get damaged too much. Like say, I love my flapjack, or my husband loves my flapjack, so I'm going to plant a few flapjacks around in the bottom of that one. That's what I'm planning to. But in here, I still have to clean that area there. And also, if you notice, I have a lot of logs. So her cousin Frank, my husband's cousin, was cut off a tree. I think this is also a hardwood. Apparently they're really very good wood. There's a good wood. You can't make do with a good wood, and if it's just gonna burn it. But I thought, or give it to someone to burn, fireplace, and I thought this will actually be put in good use around my garden, so I took the lot. So anyway, the shale, I've got some shale here that are going to be incorporated into my garden. So I've got this huge log here that's been just resting there. I was gonna make it into a garden feature behind me, but then it's just so heavy that I need to put a concrete in. I don't really want to do that, so I thought it would be good to have it here and put some plants in there that again that would require a certain amount of protection. And this tree here, which I don't know what this is, but it's starting to flower as well. Look, if you can see that. Look, they're flowering. But this one is not going to stay because it's going to make a mess. I don't like cleaning the leaves that falls off in autumn, so I'm letting it grow to thicken up the trunk, and I will chop it off, and that's going to serve as hanging things for bottles or whatever. So I already chopped off a lot of the bits and pieces, so I'm going to continue doing that. And again, I don't know, I'm going to hang some wind chimes or something like that that I can afford to put out here without having someone else stealing it or taking a fancy to it. So my lomandra that I pulled this out a week ago, is about to die, but doesn't matter. I still have to find a spot for them. So this is my succulent garden concept. I will update you on the next stage as I progress in creating this succulent garden, and I hope it will meet up to my expectations or what's in my head. So anyway guys, or the concept that's in my head. Anyway, look, I've got my iris as well here. See, look, it's sort of the same distance from each other. And this one, I think, I don't know what color you are. I think this is a blue one. So, and there's more bulbs coming out, more irises or iris, and more. That one, I don't know. Are you an iris too? I think you're something else. Okay. And look, I already started putting out some plants here. But anyway, I need to do this first before I could put some soil in my garden. Oh, well, some I can, but most of them. So like this one's now, I can just pour it here. Okay, and I can just spread that later on. This is my half a trailer full of decomposed granite, or actually crushed granite. And what I do with this one is I wash them first before I throw them into my garden soil. And when I wash them, so this is what happens. I wash it in a container or a bucket like this, let it dry up, and then this way I can dispose this in my pathway. And I'll take this one over here where it can be useful for blocking the weeds. Look, I need another 3 cubic meter of these pebbles here, but for the meantime I've got all these weeds growing here. The first lot I already threw it in here. See, so this one's now, I'm just gonna tip this out over here. There you go. And don't wash it off in the driveway. I forgot who it was who commented that she washed it off in the driveway, and now it's made a mess. So this is what I do with my crushed granite cast-offs or leftover mud. There you go. So first things first, I hammered in my star picket, And so now I'm just about to tie up these wires. So these wires just looks awesome. So from the top you can see the shape. So I don't know what this was for, but anyway, I've got 8 of them, and I think they would look fantastic over on this wall, because I have a bare wall here. So this bare wall, this is my study and that's where I edit all my videos. So now I can, that way I can have a peek through the windows every now and then if I want to see the beautiful wall of succulents that I will have planted here. So what I want to do with this one, so first I'll tie this one up and secure that. So this one's pretty secure now. See, look, boink. Anyway, so I still need to put another one. Hang on, I'll just step back here. On the opposite side here. There you go. So imagine that filled up with succulents. So I've now finished setting my wire rack. That's all I could call this. My wire rack garden ornament. So there's a pot in the bottom on the right hand side, and the star picket, I want to extend it to have it longer, but since we're on lockdown at the moment, I can't get hold of materials. So I'm going to leave that until we open up next month to continue. But for now, at least the wire rack now, I've got something to work with. So this will be the basis for my succulent planter. So should I call this my wire rack succulent planter? So that's what I'm going to call it. But anyway, so this is just an idea for you guys to do if you've got things lying around sort of similar, anything that's sort of structural that you can put into the garden. This is just one example of what can be done. Well, at least my idea anyway, but I'm sure a lot of you would come up with much better ideas than what I have come up with, because so far this is all I've got from this corner here, and I still have to put a lot of plants at the front of it. I got a couple of plants that I'm growing in the pots, which is going to be removed from the pot and planted there. And also I'm gonna keep a progress update on what I'm working here, so that way eventually I'll get there. So I don't know how long this is going to take me, but I'll try my best to hurry up. So I'm going to work in sections. So this is the first section for this year 2021, and together we'll see what we can come up with. Maybe you can suggest some other ideas to me that, as well, that I could use into my garden installation here. So there you go. So that looks more like for planting tomatoes, isn't it? But no, I'm not planting tomatoes. But anyway, that's all for now, and I'll catch you on the next video.